Good evening. For 9 years, the story of Daniel Morcombe has saddened and shocked the entire country, following every distressing development. And today was among the hardest days of all. Daniel Morcombe was finally laid to rest on the anniversary of his disappearance. Jonathan Lee was at the funeral, and Jonathan, there was a sea of red and a celebration of his young life.
Yeah, Georgie, it was a celebration full of pictures, videos and tributes, but it was also filled full of that raw emotion. Of the 2,000 people here today, everyone was wearing that splash of red that has become now synonymous with the Daniel Morcombe Foundation. Some people told me they travelled from Toowoomba and even stayed the night in their car beside the road. Such was the importance to the local community. It was a day the Morcombes thought may never come. 9 years to the day Daniel disappeared from a bus stop on the Sunshine Coast. Daniel's white coffin covered in red roses, the colour the teenager was wearing on that fateful day. Bruce and Denise added some of their son's precious possessions. Daniel's unopened Christmas presents, a report card which arrived the day after he disappeared, and a school photo he never saw. His father Bruce appealing for mourners not to be sad.
Appreciate that the evil act which took Daniel happened a long time ago. Today is about embracing his return to family and being reflective of what might have been.
His older brother Dean told of the special bond between brothers.
He was tough. He refused to show the pain. This is what made Daniel special.
Images never seen before were played to the strains of Bring My Son Home. 600 people were inside the church. 1,000 more watched outside on a big screen, drawn to a boy many never knew.
Our children and grandchildren are safer because of Daniel.
For 9 years, Denise has fought for justice. Fighting back tears was equally difficult.
I think for any of us, you couldn't help but be touched by this.
Students returned from holidays to form a guard of honour as his brothers carried Daniel. For the Morcombes, every chapter of this tragedy has played out before the nation's eyes. They now head to a private burial where they can say a final and dignified farewell to Daniel. A final standing ovation, a fitting farewell for a boy who has changed lives forever. Now, one person who couldn't be here was Premier Campbell Newman, though he did pay tribute to the Morcombes' courage and sacrifice.
I wish I could be there with them today, but I know that all Queenslanders, indeed all Australians, are just thinking of them on this very sad day. They have been amazing people through this terrible ordeal. They've shown incredible stoicism. They've also become inspirational in terms of their quest to warn everybody in Australia about child safety issues.
Now, Georgie, it's important to note former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd was also here, although he declined to speak with the media.
And Jonathan, we saw the sea of red for Daniel, but there was also the orange of the SES volunteers whose painstaking hard work eventually found Daniel.
Of course, Georgie, they really were the unsung heroes. They gave up hundreds of hours of their own time to search for the remains of Daniel Morcombe. Now, Matt Neagle really has a touching tribute here. He spoke not only with the SES volunteers, but also the wider Morcombe family.
United in a sea of red, Daniel's community sat in silence to say goodbye.
It's a Remembrance Day of Daniel, and I come here to celebrate him.
His disappearance tore at the hearts of strangers and brought families closer together, and none more so than among his own.
You know, he's nearly 14. My son's just turning 10 now, and it's very hard to let him sort of walk to school or down to the grandparents' house or anything.
Daniel's smile was a beacon on the big screen in the grounds of the Siena Catholic College where he once walked.
It's a time to think about Daniel and think about his parents.
Saw his photo when I lived on the Gold Coast in the Suncorp Bank and looked into his eyes, and yeah, ever since then I've felt for him.
There was overwhelming pride for a 13-year-old who stood tall amongst his peers, and time to reflect for the army of SES volunteers who never gave up in their search.
We're like just one big family, so today us all getting together is going to really help everybody.
Many people here didn't know Daniel, yet they were drawn so close to his story, his courageous family, and the cause they've been fighting for ever since he disappeared. There's a fierce determination to ensure his legacy lives on.
They are more aware of the dangers that are around and the safety that they have to think about every single day.
We will never give up in the case of missing persons in this state.
And this community can take comfort knowing Daniel is finally at rest. On the Sunshine Coast, Matt Neagle, 10 News.
And our thoughts are with the Morcombes today.